Most squads in Arma Reforger are completely lost without a glowing HUD icon telling them where to stand. They rely on arbitrary capture points to dictate their positioning, their pathing, and their overall strategy. And the second you strip those video game mechanics away, they completely fall apart. In this video, we are diving straight into the Eastern Front, Splif's premier community PvP server. What makes this server a completely different beast isn't just its brutal hardcore settings, it is a radical design choice. There are absolutely no map objectives. No flags to capture, no magical borders forcing team collisions. Instead, the battlefield shape is purely organic. The frontline is drawn entirely by real-time positioning, dynamic pacing, and sheer willpower of the players on the ground. And if you don't learn how to navigate an objectiveless sandbox, you will spend your entire match walking through fields just to be dropped by a single, unspotted PKM. Now, let's break down how to actually master this chaos on the game's best server. To survive here, you have to understand the mechanics that govern the Eastern Front. This is an incredibly hardcore environment designed to simulate the gritty reality of modern, non-linear warfare. First, no name tags. You cannot look at a silhouette and rely on a blue UI marker. You must use physical uniform identification, or PID, positive identification, helmet geometry, and color tape markings to distinguish friend from foe. Secondly, very limited rank locks. Unlike standard servers that will gatekeep top-tier gear behind arbitrary point systems, weapons and high-end equipment are fully unlocked from the second you spawn. Firepower is lethal, immediately available, and heavily utilized. And thirdly, helos. There's not a helo spam that you're normally used to in other servers, where helicopters are just zooming across the sky. Instead, the game shifts entirely to ground-level logistics, any kind of armor coordination, and infantry grid clearing. This combination creates a brutal team deathmatch flow wrapped in a realistic simulator engine. And every single bush could hide an enemy squad, and every corner turned requires absolute visual verification before you pull the trigger. Because there are no hard-coded points to fight over, the pacing of a match on the Eastern Front is completely dynamic. The battleground will shift naturally based on wherever initial contact flare-up happens, or sustained combat. For 15 minutes, your squad can be engaged in room-to-room urban clearing, fighting for every single staircase in a ruined building. Or, over the course of the next hour, the entire server's population has naturally gravitated toward a muddy trench network. This creates a shifting tactical landscape. You aren't executing a pre-planned route you practiced 5 times before. You are actively assessing where the enemy is attempting to establish a presence and choosing exactly what ground is worth bleeding for. Now, doing this with a single 4-man fire team is hard enough, but the true magic of the Eastern Front happens when you witness public coordination at an absolute macro scale. During peak hours, prominent milsim groups like the Warfighting Society, DAGR, and Filthy Company all drop into the exact same live public match. We aren't playing a locked private event. We are embedding disciplined, organized, tactical units directly into the middle of standard public chaos. Imagine trying to coordinate an assault on a massive fortified position with 3 distinct communities. For example, you could have the Warfighting Society with overwhelming base of fire, DAGR with mechanized armor pushing up a road, and Filthy Company silently moving through the flanks to try and breach the rear. This is massive, unscripted, combined arms warfare happening in real time, requiring severe radio discipline and masterful cross-communication management to ensure we don't obliterate each other in the confusion. Warfighter is engaging, warfighter is engaging.
Watch out space in this one. Yeah, we got vehicle. Be advised. Warfighter is getting flanked south. We are getting flanked south. We have to reorient our weapons south. You will not have support assaulting through that enemy.
Copy that.
Good job.
One more time's back in the shed. Pressing.
Hey, follow through. Sweep it, finish it.
Down.
The combat loop on this server perfectly mirrors the psychological reality of actual military engagements. Sometimes, hours of absolute boredom mixed with minutes of pure, unadulterated terror. You will experience long, tense lulls. You're sitting there checking your compass, managing your stamina, and moving your squad across massive stretches of terrain. The silence can be deafening. You're constantly scanning tree lines, waiting for the inevitable. And then it happens. A single distant gunshot rings out, then 10. Suddenly, a massive violent flare-up erupts. Mortars begin pounding the grid, PKMs start ripping through vegetation, and your squad is instantly thrown into a fight for survival. You don't get a warm-up. You go from 0 to 100 in a split second, forced to adapt to a localized war zone that didn't exist 3 minutes prior. So, how do you actually win on a server with no win conditions? How do you dominate a map that has no objectives? Well, for starters, you don't chase a flag, you start hunting logistics. You look for enemies' positions, their supply lines. If you can cut off their capability to bring kits and bodies to the front line, the ground naturally becomes yours. 2. Establish local fire supremacy early. Because there are no rank locks, expect heavy weapons immediately. Don't push open ground until your gunners have completely suppressed the opposing tree line. And finally 3, create your own lanes. Use massive smoke screens and aggressive, sudden violence of action to dictate where the fight happens, rather than walking into pre-established meat grinders. Arma Reforger is at its absolute best when it stops feeling like a typical video game and starts feeling like a real, living conflict. Splif's The Eastern Front server delivers exactly that. It forces you to rely on teamwork, authentic communication, and real tactical awareness instead of a game UI. Now, if you're tired of brainless public matches and you want to experience what happens when groups like the Warfighting Society, DAGR, and Filthy Company collide in the sandbox, you need to look for us in the server browser and join the front. You could also click the Discord link down in the description below to join the Warfighting Society and run with us, because we run deep. Also, it really helps if you subscribe and drop a comment below. And in that comment, you could answer this question. Do you prefer structured capture points, or do you prefer the pure, unscripted chaos of an objectiveless sandbox? Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one.